You know, every time I think of fiddling around with these settings, right, it says it's supposed to be like this, just to take my mind off being overly critical. Because there's nothing worse than an artist who keeps on talking about how he could do better art. Literally. I mean, I have clearly been struggling. Sometimes there are moments, like right now, I feel like I've really broken through to something. Or maybe to someone's mind, it's hard to understand. There's clearly ways of connecting to other people's minds. But I also do believe that to be in a certain way kind of a lie, because you cannot have access to everyone's mind. Like, I don't let just anyone into my mind. I have people that I simply push away. I mean, I say, you gotta do your own thing. Because let's say you want to be connected with your husband, right? No, I don't want to be stuck at, oh yeah, nice. I don't want to be stuck at, you know, sucking up to other people and then running around because, you know, I would like to focus on my wife and on my child or children. And that should be somehow what my life is devoted to, right? I mean, I have lived many years in darkness. If you understand what that means, then what I see is you have to start working with your inner child. Because your inner child is that which this society literally extracts by getting you to, right, kind of like early upbringing in school is basically torture, right? They torture you at a young age. They punish you for certain behaviors and then they reward you for other behaviors. And you can say now, well, that's just all coincidence and it's not happening on purpose. But, that's always the big but, it is happening. And if you have started to become aware of it happening, this is basically how some people right, so you know, some people train animals in a certain way, right? There's, first of all, there is the way of training an animal, or what we call animals, where you keep punishing and rewarding the being that you're trying to train, or that you're currently in charge of training. So this is basically how we were raised as children. We were punished so that we learn to worship the country, to well, how would you like to okay, wow, this is almost the first time. Wow, what have I been doing? Where was I in my mind? But because it's a cup, I can lose now and then I have to win later. I have to win now all other games because I received 0 points. So I have to focus and pay attention, you see, you know. Maybe there were times in my life where I lost. But if I know, okay, this is what I want, right? This is then what I expect or expected of my wife. That she knows that I'm her husband because we gave each other a promise. You know, however secret that might be, we both have to take responsibility for that promise. Which is why if I'd go to the park and some random guy would come and hit on my wife, you know, I would just barge in. Without any problem or doubt, I would just say, you know, I would just probably imitate him in a certain way. I would show him his place, like very clearly would I show him his place, and that's what you have to do because you're the alpha of your pack. And it's of course even worse when it's not just about your own family, but let's say you're creating your own business. You'll have to be even more of an alpha. The question is, how do you know? Right? Because most people that I've met until now were in a sense kind of like so always in some kind of competition. So I probably cannot work together as friends. So with friends. So I think if you have friends, then you should probably keep the money out of it. And that is strange. Because I don't know, man. It's just that I know certain people and they have certain abilities. And sometimes I think about would be nice to work together, and then I realize I think it's not possible. I think if, you know, I'd want to make movies, like bigger, like movies about whatever, then I would probably have to find people that I haven't met before. Simply because it would probably be disrespectful, even if I'd pay them. But that, of course, has to... Maybe I'm just misunderstanding certain things in my life. Because I have a hard time discerning friendships from rivalries and... right, I mean... There have been a lot of interventions in my life that cannot be denied, right? They're happening, cannot be. I just have to acknowledge them, that there were certain people who simply tried to use me too many times. But because I have a forgiving nature, I always feel like, yeah, I mean, would be nice, right? If we could only forget our differences and work together. But up until this point, I have never met anyone with who that worked. Which means to say that I have been rejected and betrayed so many times and set aside that I probably have problems to trust anyone. Like, I feel unfit at times to live in this outside world. I'd have less problems living in nature with wild animals, scorpions and snakes, because they don't want to make money with me. And as long as I'm nice, they'll just leave me alone. But if I'm living in this kind of world, then people always want to use each other because they got trained, right? I mean, being used, right? Everybody's using each other for pleasure. And if you don't want that, and you think everybody's friends, then what you're going to realize that early upbringing in school did not just teach us to, right, like, you know, if you do this, you're going to get a reward. If you do this, you're going to get punished. And then you always try to be nice to your punisher, who are then the servants of, I mean, whatever government, right, the teachers are serving. Because that's, at the moment, who's mostly in a position of power. So what I'm trying to say is, what we have also been taught is all this competition, right? We were never trained to actually work together. It was always about the competition, and that's what you can clearly see in soccer these days, right? It's not about playing together and just having a good game. No, it's just about one side winning. And then, right, you're supposed to love winning, like you want to score good. But if you score bad, I mean, could also be that mathematics just isn't for you, if you know what I'm saying, right? Because if you were born in ancient India or at any other point where they have acknowledged the presence of different beings, then you would have to see that. What am I trying to say? Wow, this goes quite well. So never see anything as an excuse. I mean, if you've watched porn and masturbated and then you say, well, because I've done that, I mean, sometimes I gave into actually watching porn and masturbating, and it freed me of something that helped me to move on, and suddenly I felt incredibly good and liberated. So what am I supposed to tell you? You could say, well, at your stage you shouldn't be playing this game, and I'd say, well, but it liberates me from, I mean, maybe I just needed the win. I just like to letting go into this game and to slide around corners. So what's bad about it? Right? What's bad about it? If I can connect with my inner child in such a way, then what's bad about it? I'd say nothing. Because I've been let down and let down and let down so many times that I got more used to the rejection than to actual acceptance. And that includes the content I'm creating, that includes the people I met just in life. There are very few people who kind of follow me. There are very few people, or so it seems. Everybody just thinks they can do it better. Although I have already proven that there is something that I can do, but all they look at is, how many followers does he have? How much money does he have? How many views does he have? Nobody decides for themselves any longer. Nobody says, hey, this guy has something. And it's a rare few that will actually have started following me. This is not like, oh wow, you know, awesome, you know, let's see, you know, he's gonna get viral. No, everybody's like, what is he talking about? I don't understand it. Nobody has the courage to just sit there and listen, and just listen and see what it's gonna do. So everybody's just waiting. Is he gonna, is he gonna leave prematurely? Which is what in this society we generally consider to be called suicide. But, no. I have started to put in the work, stabilize myself, reduced a lot of the things, but I'm still drinking red wine, right? Occasionally. And I'm still occasionally drinking coffee. I do still occasionally eat sugar. And I still play computer games occasionally. I can occasionally watch a movie. But my intention is to clearly reduce these things and to focus more on my personal development. Wow, why is he so fast? And to just move ahead into the future and to hope, right, that I was actually right about choosing this woman and that, right, we have both continued to work towards each other, because I have decided that I was never going to break faith with her and to simply say, well, then I don't care, if this is what it seems to be on one plane, which is the physical plane, if that's what it seems to be, then I'm simply going to continue to be by myself. And this is basically the hardest choice, but she is the most reflection of myself that I have ever met. And it is both liberating and intimidating, and I could settle into living life in a way that says, hey, I know you live on the other side, because this is the story of Lyra and Will from his Dark Materials, spoiler alert, where in the end, right, Lyra lives on the other side in the, her world, and he lives in his world, and they just cannot be together. And I was often asking myself if this is actually my story, or if in my story we can be together, or if we cannot, right? So, okay, apparently your shield does not protect you from getting run over by a train, so you have to watch out. And neither does your shield protect you from committing adultery, from cheating on your wife. So I have simply been staying away from other people's vibes that were men that wanted to have sex with me just for selfish pleasure, that were women that just wanted sex for selfish pleasure. They wouldn't have cared if, this would have meant breaking up with my wife. They wouldn't have cared at all. About the consequences and how much it would mean to me. They would have just used me, right? And somehow, right, it just never happened, because I felt always like a pull away from such things. But I also simply realized, right, like there were certain women that were trying to attract me, or maybe I was trying to attract them to a certain degree. And I simply said, well, I don't care for these women. I care for the woman that I chose. which makes no sense because it's very like a very spiritual connection. But that's what I care for. That's what I am going to focus on. That's what I am going to pursue. And I said, and I can continue saying that, if that would mean being alone for the rest of my life, I would take it. I would take it over replacing her with somebody else, because if you started devoting your life to the feeling you have of this one woman, and you say, well, I'd rather live with her than with anyone else. I mean, I'd rather be alone than replace her. And that's an honest choice. And this is know thyself. This is, right? I have made a choice and I'm just going to stick to it because I needed a certain direction in my life. And then you simply leave it up to life. You say, well, I have chosen, just as I have chosen to stop smoking, because I realized that I can just breathe for my highs, right? In the same sense, right, I can then choose to simply say, hey, you know, whatever I'm doing here is in devotion to that woman who inspired me to stop with psychedelics and simply invest my life more into yoga. But that too is coming with a lot of questions, such as, does that mean I can never, like, say, do HP again? And then the question is, well, why would you do it? You have already worked with your shadow. You have already but I still have the tools. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say, hey, you know, I'm just going to keep that. But because I don't know what my life will bring. So it is possible that going into the forest with other men and doing HP ceremonies is an important step in becoming a man. But I just don't know yet, right? Because HP should never be overused. But I do have the feeling that it can help in certain scenarios. Just connecting as men in a type of warrior mentality. I don't know, man, but I just feel like I have to somehow come in first, because I cannot let the woman win. This just seems to be my life. I mean, there are certain constellations where the woman seems to play the dominant part, but my constellation is different. Not simply because I reject a dominant woman, it's because it seems to be about equality this time, which is the only way you can actually lead a mature relationship. But there are certain things where I would say where the man just makes the choice, right? I have made many choices, but you know, this is now it's getting complicated again. Right, I cannot talk about these things actually because I don't know how it's gonna be like, right? You don't know then how the woman is gonna be in your... Oh wow, I think they're just tougher. Right? He's clearly faster. Okay. So people are growing alongside with you, if you know what I'm saying. People are growing alongside with you. If you grow, they'll grow, which is why I simply have to keep going, because the better I get, the better they'll get. Because if we are connected in our minds, then they'll see roughly what I'm doing, So I have to keep being ahead, right? And I have to keep channeling and activating certain passageways. So I'm like the forerunner. I have said that already. I'm like the scout, simply because how life turned out. And there's probably something about the kshatric energy. I mean, kshatriya is like the warrior type spirit. Not everyone's a warrior type spirit, but I actually believe that it also highly depends on the time you are living in. What makes me say that? Well, because if times would have been different, okay, it's hard to say if I would have been a warrior type. But because times are the way they are, I simply I saw the challenge, and I wanted to become more conscious. And so I activated myself through certain choices that I made intuitively, and it set me apart from everyone else I knew, right? Everyone I was together with in school, they all lead different lives. I don't know from anyone who pursued the journey to himself to such a degree, right? I mean, I have made such progress that I cannot really spend time with anyone for a very long time, because there seems to be a certain intensity, hey Junge, about my presence, if you know what I'm saying. And it's simply forcing people to go through similar processes as I have gone through, because my life turned into an upward spiral through all the things that I have been doing. And as that has been happening, when I enter the room, right, energy seems to be rising. But I also have to say that already started much earlier. There seems to have been a certain quality about myself where others have asked me, why do you have to be so different? And I said, it's not like I have to be, it's just that I am. Right? I cannot change. It's just happening. It's simply happening. And how am I supposed to stop myself from being who I am, right? I'd have to be, I would have to merge back into trying to be like everyone else, and that's just no longer possible for me at all. Simply because too much has happened. Whoa. Right? And I cannot take hits for other people, right? Unless, everybody's also playing for themselves. So I have to play for myself, and you have to play for yourself. But if we would like to bring this together to the next phase, right, then I'm going to shield you. But as long as you're out there fighting for yourself, I can do very little. I can only shield you from, let's say, like making the experience of working towards another man, or towards being with a man and then meeting him with another woman. I can shield you from that if this is actually what my life is about, right? Then I can shield you from that, and this is what my heart said, right? Never replace the woman that you chose. And this is then, tough. From the moment you've chosen her, you just have to stick with it. And that is then, right, you cannot help it any longer then. You simply have to accept it. Okay, if she never wants to see you again. You know, this is basically what Eminem said in one of his songs, but I stopped listening to him because I reject him. I mean, he clearly has undergone plastic surgery. He looks like a bloody puppet. And I realized, actually, I think he was always like that. He was always like that. It just was hard to see from the me that was clearly more imbalanced. But that has changed now. Because I have been doing a lot of balancing exercises. And I often have problems because, right, I don't know what you're doing while you're doing what you're doing. I only know what I'm doing. So how am I supposed to trust you if I barely manage to trust myself, right? That's a really important thing to consider, that you simply do not know what's really happening to other people while you don't see them. You don't really know, but you may feel certain things and you can then react to them, right? You may feel the rejection of someone you love, but if you react by replacing them, well, then they're gonna be gone. And I simply said, I don't want that, right? I said, if you have watched the movie Oppenheimer, the first woman there that they show there, he rejected her and chose someone else. And I simply said, I'm never gonna do that. And that's what I've really, it's a real struggle. Because he chose the more laid back woman, but I want the warrior type. I want the, kaboom woman. And he chose the one that was a bit more timid. But I chose the one that's like full on in your face, let's do yoga together. If that is part of my life, right, then it's gonna get hectic at some point. And for that I had to prepare myself. So, yeah, Oppenheimer clearly made other choices than I have, but all the choices that he made were wait. Okay. Once I've done it, it's gone or what? So, okay. So, Oppenheimer's choices were more towards power. So he was being extracted, his life force, he gave his life force to the industry, right? To the warheads. So they managed to wiggle into his mind, and that's basically what this is. If I'd see it, I would probably say, I have had women try to replace the woman that I chose, but I realized they weren't it, right? So I could have switched, but I simply felt like my devotion to her was honest, and so in a sense I started to worship her, right? I simply, started to worship her in a sense. And I said, well, if this is supposed to be equal, then she has to worship me back. Right? And for that, this is something I was looking for. But, right, I have, in that sense, I have emotions to show for it, right? I have lots of art to show for it. This woman has inspired me to, right, sacrifice a lot of things simply because I realized how much I love her, right? But just words are basically irrelevant to women. Like, to real women these days, words are irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you say, how much you love her. You have to keep doing it. And that's the thing, because love is attention, is focus. And what I realized was, at some stage, that even when I was watching, let's say, porn, which I may have let go of now, but that is hard to say, I was still only seeing her, right? And that's really strange. But at some stage you just say, yeah, okay, no. I think it's time to let go of these things. Damn it! So, right, at some stage you just say it's enough, right? And I believe that also a woman should have to say at some stage, okay, I think he's proven it. But how do you know when she would say that, right? How do you know when the cake is ready? Well, how do you know when the cake is ready? What? Was it swallowed up? You see, so in that sense, I feel like there's nobody any longer on the other side. You could say maybe the shadow is passing. What is the shadow? And yeah, I mean, I'm not that old, but time's relative. And I'm just trying to figure out, right, what this thing is that I've been feeling. Oh yeah. Inside my mind for such a long time, right? You gotta be kidding me. Right, now you get to the point where you have this thing. Okay. I don't know, man. I just have to see this. If the pressure is rising, I simply have to give in to creation. Plus, I've set myself challenges, such as going for 30 kilometers hike on a regular basis, so that I get out of the house. And I'm gonna keep doing that for a very long time, because I simply need to hone my hiking skills. Because I feel like I need to be more... Don't feel like wearing the hat now. I simply need to... I feel like I want to be comfortable in nature. I just feel like I want to be comfortable in nature. Because in that sense, right, I mean, if you can stand nature, then you can stand any woman. I'm just saying. I mean, okay, the only woman you couldn't stand was one that never did her cleansing. Because we're talking about the woman, you know, if you go a lot into nature, then what you want is a woman that also does that. In my case, I'm a very jealous character. So even, right, I'd say, yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't know, man. I just think that women should spend less time with men I believe in actually, in a way, separation of gender. My own life has taught me that even siblings, right, let's say you would go on a vacation, siblings should not sleep together. Like, the son should sleep with the father and the daughter should sleep with the mother. This is what I believe. I have started to see that due to my own upbringing. And this is clearly something that I would right, this is also something that they have not done in school. I mean, so many children leave or try to get into adulthood but they're already traumatized. Why are they traumatized? Because of all the rejection they have suffered from school times. I mean, you're in school, girls come and they may like you, and because everything's just happening together, right, you are easily drawn into each other and you feel attraction, and then you try fooling around, and then by the time you would like to actually marry, you're so broken that all you do is just stuff yourself with sugar and cake, and right, and that's just something that I have started to clearly see at some point in my life, but it has become more apparent now. So I have spent a lot of time rejecting women recently, but how would that look like then in the next phases of my life? Well, I don't know, man. I'm just alone a lot. So my focus is clearly on my wife, trying to be a good husband. And figuring it out. And that's a clear challenge to myself. Damn it! Tiny says nothing. That is a clear challenge to myself, and so I'm just figuring it out for myself. But feelings of jealousy are there, clearly. They're clearly there. Holy shit. Yeah, got you. I trapped Tiny. Wow, he's so super slow. So yeah. I'm quite fast, but just like Crash, right? In a sense, I need to eat, and I need to stay hydrated. You cannot kidding me? Are you kidding me? That was such a good move. Okay, so doesn't matter. Let's see where I stand in the total. Okay. I have one more round. Okay, so I clearly have to be first now. Hey, that's what I've been talking about. I mean, life's a challenge. And maybe the woman you chose is the one that doesn't dare to because she thinks she's unworthy or something. So maybe the woman has to prove to you just to know that she earned it. But who has ever heard of such a thing, right? Well, I have, because I've met women on my way that just chose one partner and just stuck with it. And that just said, well, nobody can replace that or him. Right, you just wish it were easier. But then you just have to be patient. And patience is really hard to master. It's one of the hardest things. I mean, that's Guru Pachik or Patik from the Avatar series, that's just sitting there meditating, waiting for the Avatar to show. Right? And he probably sat there for an eternity. And then suddenly, right, Aang was there. And that's then just how it is. Sometimes you just have to be patient. What? Right? And that's then also, in a way, Zen clearly also teaches patience, because you have to actually know and wait for the right moment, right? Sometimes you may find yourself in situations where you cannot just go, where your feeling tells you to sit and to wait. So my feeling has been telling me to be active from a certain point in my life. So that I couldn't actually be discovered before I knew what I wanted to do, right? I couldn't be discovered. So I could secretly start working on my podcast in that sense. And that meant that I couldn't be trapped in the industry, which would have been, to me, not a good place to find myself in. So I'm glad that I somehow managed. The laugh is the worst. Wow. I know not everyone can play these games like this. I mean, you probably would have to spend experimenting with flow states to be able to surf in your mind. But yeah, everything stands in relation with one another. I mean, I have clearly learned to speak English very well. Plus, I can outmaneuver awkward silences if I want to. But sometimes, you know, it's also good to just say nothing. and faster in the last round. Sometimes it's nice to just play it without saying anything. Nice. Cheers. Polar.
Congratulations, you have won a gem.
Okay. What's this? Okay. Yeah, I'll just be a bit more quiet from now on. Just so you know, right? Dai, papà! Okay. The underworld. Damn it! I think if you get 50 boosts, you unlock another character. Okay, maybe I'll get that in the next one, depending on what one it is. This one is really good for this. Not every level. You know, this is what happens if you focus and pay attention, right? Suddenly it's getting much easier to stay in flow, because you can just let go inside your mind into what you're doing. But for that you actually have to practice, right? If I would have played this the first time, it would have been much harder, but I have been practicing. So I can also say that I have had relationships before, has made it much easier to outmaneuver any traps. Okay, I think this one, let's see, 50. I'm gonna reach 50 boosts at some point. That's gonna be hard. I mean, it's possible. Well, I'm just saying it's this in this level. I would say it's impossible, which means I will go back to that other one. Good one. Yeah. Interesting. Why did it take it away? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh wow, that was the last one. Okay. Oh, I got them all. Which means that now I'm only missing 2 things, I believe. Which is the time trial, and I have to race that last guy again. You see, sometimes people come and they try to whitewash what they did by saying it was a clear misunderstanding, and you're like, yeah, I don't think so.
Congratulations. You have won a gem.
You see, now I've got the time trial. You see? And then I have to race him again. Okay, question. Yeah. I'm just gonna do that now. It says I still have 37 minutes. Wow. Whoa. Wow. This seems so fast. Oh wow, there's a shortcut. I've seen the shortcut. I was looking for that. Wow, could it be? Okay, I'm gonna try that one. I had the feeling there has to be a shortcut. Yeah, that one was really stupid. Oh yeah, that's for C. Maybe I was wrong. Check. That one is tougher than it looks. What did I just say? Okay. Bong, bong, bong. You see? That was the shortcut. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Nope. Have to redo it. I know why. It's flowing more freely because it's not lagging. There's no competitor in this round. It's just me against time, right? What? Damn it. Yeah. It's going to be hard to catch up. I mean, it's nice to experiment, but... Okay. Also says never listen to a kshatriya, look at what he's doing or what he has done. Words are completely irrelevant. Yeah. Yeah, it's important that you figure out your own workout. Because your workout is not the same as mine. We are completely different energy types. You just have to learn to do your own thing. I'm just saying, you know, this is your mission. You have to figure out who you are, and then you have to live according to the rules that you discovered for your type of energy, right? And that is really important to understand that, right? You have to understand your own mission, your vision, what your focus should be on, and then simply act. Start acting, continue to act. And whether or not you're being called to action, well, if you see it, you have to act accordingly. I'm just saying, this is your responsibility, entirely your responsibility. I knew there was a shortcut. And it seems I figured it out. But only because there was a crate hanging there. So, right, you pay attention so you can see, right, where the secret passages are in your life. And this is what I have been trying to see for myself. I wanted some kind of freedom. I have found some kind of freedom, right? In that sense, yes, my parents are happy that I'm still alive, because I wouldn't have continued living without a bit of appreciation, because I was always kind of like the waste bin of my entire family. And I simply started to choose to reject that. See how I dropped in the word? I started to choose to reject it. And the reason I started to choose to reject it was very simple. Because it started to annoy me, and it started to become so heavy because everybody gave me their shit. So I first started looking for strength in my mind, in myself, in my body. And then I started to teach that to others, to simply be strong themselves. By helping them to make experiences that help you to see who you are as an individual. And that's probably one of the toughest things anyone could tell you to figure out. Right? Maybe you had to know that you can make it without me. Okay, let's see if the recording, because I have 5% of battery left. If I can make it, that'll be great. I assume I have to go back to this race. Face him again. And then just win again. I think that's what I have to do. And then I'll get the alternative ending of the game. Okay, 4% of battery. Let's see. I'll just do it once more. If it stops recording, I'll do it again. Huh? Oh no. Oh, so close. But nope. Okay, I'll keep that for next time. Okay, I'll keep that for next. At 1% left, I'm gonna. So close. Cheers.